Hi, Saket.
Sarika, how are you?
I'm good. Good to see you. I think I was waiting for you at the backstage for a pretty long time. You made us
I,
wait.
I apologize, but I think we made it on time, so all good.
Great. I want to welcome all my viewers. Hello, everyone. My name is Sarika Bhattacharyya. I lead the development and the fundraise vertical in Plaksha University. I also founded and on the board of my own venture on social innovation beyond diversity, which is a globally top 10 diversity consulting firms. And I'm also as a lead advisor and Women in Tech ally. So very, very proud to be talking to another millennial over here. And Saket, we had a pact that we will not talk about each other's ages on this session. So I will lose that hands down. But I would really like to welcome you because I was so excited when I read about your profile that I want to share it with the viewers. Saket Modi is an entrepreneur, co-founder, and CEO of an organization known as Lucideus, an organization which is very much needed in today's times. They are one of the top companies in India which actually protects many businesses, many organizations, and a lot of our online payments these days from cyber attacks. They are one of the largest cybersecurity firms, and I'm very excited to have him here. He's an ethical hacker. I need to understand that a little bit more, Saket, from you in this conversation. And I just wanted to understand first, how did you start this journey? Tell me a bit about how did you realize that you can hack and you can become an ethical hacker?
Sure. Sarika, before I get to the answer, first of all, thank you for the opportunity to you, Rachna, and everybody else. It's truly an honor to be here and sharing, most importantly, all the mistakes I've made for many, many years now, so that my fellow entrepreneurs or potential entrepreneurs, if they go along the same journey, they don't make the same mistakes. They can make their own ones, the new ones which are there. So that is there. Our pact, Sarika, was not about mutually not disclosing each other's age. I'm very comfortable with my age, Sarika.
You want me.
It was just one way. It was not two ways. But that's
Yeah,
fine.
but I will ask you your age for the viewers. Please tell me at what age did you start hacking and what age are you in right now? Since you've
well,
asked for it now.
I'm old now, Sarika. I'm 29 years of age. When I started,
In our
yeah, I
dictionary,
know.
that's not old. In our dictionary, that's not old.
I know. And when I started out, I think hacking is a mindset, Sarika, more than anything else. According to the Oxford Dictionary, when you make something do that it's not designed to do, it's called hacking. For example, if you use a toothbrush to clean the mirror, it's hacking because you don't design toothbrushes to clean the mirror. So I think I've been a hacker since childhood because ever since the day I was born, because I think it's really a different way of seeing things. And it's really a mindset which is there. But I do understand what you're saying from a cyber security or a cyber hacking or a computer hacking perspective. I think my first encounter with that would be early days of school where I was a terrible student and I hardly got any passing marks in any of my subjects. My teachers were very, very frustrated with me all the time. The only exception was that I used to be pretty much most of the times my batch topper or among the top students in mathematics and computer science and physics. These were the three subjects which was reasonably dear to me, and I think I did reasonably well there, and my teachers were those were the only teachers happy with me. And I think it was computer science because I was doing a lot of it. When you go much deeper into any subject, and it doesn't need to be computer science, it can be any subject, you're able to see through things which somebody who's not spent that much time in that field cannot see. So when you can see more, it's like a doctor, right? I mean, a doctor can pinpoint your diseases far better than you and I because he spends so much time in studying that particular part of the body, and he's
Focus on.
and then that's a very clear focus which is there. So I think I did that for computer science, and yeah, I mean, in that way hacking has been there from my school days, and that's where so I
You
started. I
skipped the
can't
story.
count.
Saket, you skipped
Sorry.
the story very coolly. about how you hacked into your teacher's computer. I want to hear that. I mean, I guess that was one revelation where you realized that you could do this and get away with it.
Well, yeah, I was terribly bad at chemistry, Sarika, and I don't remember even once when I did not fail in chemistry in my school. I was that bad. And my teacher came to me and said, "Look, if you don't pass this time, I'm not allowing you to sit on your board examination." This was a 12th board, so it was a pretty serious thing, and I had to do something. I used to spend most of my time in my lab, computer science lab, really playing Counter Strike, more than anything else. And I knew my teachers used to write the question papers out there. So my teacher, I knew that she was writing the chemistry paper, and I knew that it was done. So I was able to basically get into that computer, get the paper. My teacher was obviously very smart, so she put a password on that Microsoft Word document. But it's reasonably easy to crack a Microsoft Word file. You can just download a brute force tool, which basically tries all passwords in permutations and combinations of characters and numerical
I just
letters
hope
which
there are
are
no
there.
students listening over here, all this.
So you asked for it, Sarika. So I'm just telling whatever the facts
Sure,
are.
I asked
So
for it.
so so I simply went ahead, downloaded a tool, ran that tool, and I was able to crack in the password. I got the question paper, confessed to the teacher before the exam. She was kind enough. The fact is, it was not about kindness, because she knew how hopeless I was. That even after I had the question paper, I got like 55 out of 100, because mugging up all those answers was just not my cup of tea. I somehow it never
Chemistry
gelled
in
with me.
12th board was still good. Organic chemistry used to be still good in 12th boards, I remember. But yeah,
I
of course, the
I
rest of it was
I
pretty.
I failed in organic and inorganic chemistry terribly, Sarika, because the number of formulas that you have to remember was so crazy. It's so much easier to write a 1 million line code than
So
actually
that was
remember
the
that.
first time. So coming back to the real time now. So that was the first time you hacked officially into a system. And and what made you realize that you want to do this for a living? Because when you were sharing your journey, you spoke about that how you actually started teaching the IITians on cybersecurity. So how did you get into that?
So, first of all, my career is an accident. It is not well thought through. Where I was in my 12th standard while hacking the chemistry paper, I thought that I would be leading India's largest cybersecurity company, and then hopefully one day the world's largest, etc., etc. None of that is true, right? The way I was, if you see, starting from the example why I gave of my subjects in my examination, Sarika, I've been somebody like this, that, if I don't do something and there's so much that I don't do or don't know, I'm terrible at it. I'm really bad at it. Things which I like doing, I really like spending my time on that, right? So it's wrong to say that I knew that I'd become a cybersecurity entrepreneur in my school or college days. To be honest, I mean, I played national table tennis, chess, bowling, and like there was a lot that I was doing, right? I mean, I did a few degrees in Royal School of Music, London, on the grand piano. I would equally be happy playing the piano today than I am running an organization today. So what I focused always on is that if I'm spending my time on something, I, to my best of my capacity, tried to be only doing that and doing that in and really getting deep down into that particular thing that I do. It doesn't need to be career focused or future focused or anything like that, right? If I'm talking to you right now, like, my focus is that I only talk to you. There are not 20 other things. So if we continue this, then you can really have some very quality time you're spending on a particular thing, and then you go to the point of then you automatically, the byproduct is you becoming a champion in that.
You said such a pertinent point out here, Saket, because all of us are trying to multitask so much these days, and specifically during the COVID times where we are trying to take care of home, we are trying to take care of work, and we are trying to also these deluge of webinars which are telling you to increase your productivity by learning new stuff. So I really like the way you said just focus on one thing, go deep into it, and master that skill. I really love that. Tell me a bit about how you started your company, Lucideus, and a bit about how you got connected to your co-founders. That's a very interesting journey as well. Did you meet them
Yeah,
in
I
college?
was. Uh, very interestingly, I used to take trainings or I used to teach cybersecurity back when I was in my first and second year. Because when you do something well, I think everybody has a hacker in them. Everybody wants to know the mysterious things that they're not supposed to know, and therefore everybody wants or has certain affinity to becoming a hacker. And the reason I bring that up is I was doing that in my first year, second year. In my Towards the end of my third year, I was already visiting faculty where I was taking classes in some of the top institutions of the country. And I was coming towards the end of my engineering. I'm a computer science engineer myself. I Frankly, it was more like, I have ready customers or a base of colleges which want my training, because they used to call me every year, because every year you have a new batch, right? I used to go and take these 2-day workshops on cybersecurity. I said, look, I have a ready base of customers. Why not go out and try to set up an entrepreneurial real journey? And I like saying this. I have 2 degrees. I'm a computer science engineer. The second, I'm a
Yeah.
Marwadi from Calcutta. So
Likewise, likewise.
same same pinch, Sarika. So
Yes.
so
You
so so
can't take away entrepreneurship from a Marwari in from Calcutta.
that
It's in
that's
our
that's
blood.
my that's my MBA degree. I like saying that, right?
Yes.
So, so when I was doing that, Sarika, it was really to the point where, the other two very very good trainers in the country were my other two co-founders, which were there. I reached out to them. I requested them that if they would be interested to join us, and very thankfully they accepted, and we've been together ever since. And it's been 8 years, and it's been an incredible journey.
Wow. It's so important to have the right co-founders in your entrepreneurial journey, and that's very interesting that they share the same passion as well as same values. I would like to understand from you, Saket, over here, because a lot of people have these aspirations to become an entrepreneur. These days, it's become also a fad. I would like you to take a pause and reflect on the fact that if you have to tell someone what to avoid or what to think before they want to become an entrepreneur, what is the advice you would like to give them?
Oh, okay. I think there are a couple of thoughts there, right? I think before you decide whether you want to become an entrepreneur, do a job, join the army, become a professor, anything, I think there is a fundamental thing that, and again, by the way, this is coming from a 29-year-old, so it can all be crap. So, I'm just saying that with a disclaimer.
These days
Uh,
29-year-olds are giving the best crap, so it's okay.
yeah,
So go ahead.
so that's fine. So yeah, I've given my disclaimer. But I think, before you deciding on the career path, I think, I like calling it, a person needs to know their high in life.
Right.
And I explain what do I mean by high in life, right? Uh, let's take a professor, for example, right? I mean, a professor, and I know some incredible professors in so many colleges. You give them $1 billion, you make them the prime minister of the country, they will not be interested in any of that. All they care about, there are two types of professors also. One, a lot of them love teaching. They want to impart, they say teaching is the only profession which creates all the profession. Extremely noble profession, right? So the high in their life is really teaching or doing a thesis, or really going deep down into research and academic research, which they're doing over year on year on year on one tiny little problem statement. And that is really their high in life. They don't care about anything else which is there, right? Let's take another category of people, which would be, say, people who are very very high in making money. There are a lot of people who say that, look, I can do anything, I don't care what business I'm in, I don't care what happens. I mean, you spoke about the Marwari community. In general, as a community, I think it has been very focused on making money. In terms of a lot of them, the laser focus becomes, how do you become cash flow positive, how do you become
Profitable.
self-sustaining, becoming profitable, and really becoming an entrepreneur, where making money is the number one priority. Then there is a group of people who only and only focus on, how do you go ahead and get a lot of power. So if you go to a politician, he doesn't care where the money comes from. All he cares about is, I need to be in power, I need popularity. A lot of actors and actresses, they would be negative in their bank balance. but they want to be popular. They want to have like 20 million Instagram followers and things around. That's their high. And the last part of high is really people who like serving others, like an army officer. They will not care about money, they'll not care about knowledge. It's all about serving the nation, right? A lot of mothers can be all about serving the children, right? The reason I gave these four categories is that you typically have to know what is your high. I personally see no high as low or no high as higher. I think the problem comes when somebody who can be very excited to make money, if you tell them become a professor, or if somebody wants to serve the nation, you make them an entrepreneur. I think that's where a disconnect in terms of what you want to become and where you are becomes. Now, if you want to serve somebody, it
So
doesn't
what
matter
you
if
are,
you're in the army
no, I
or
think
an
this was
employee.
very profound. This was very profound because I think looking within your own self to see what is your motivation level to do something, I guess that's the first step towards it. Saket,
Yeah.
I would like to also ask you in your entrepreneurial journey, and I know these days fundraising and we keep, I mean, just before COVID times, everybody used to be splashed on the newspapers and everything. Tell us a bit about your fundraising journey. How did you ultimately, I mean, were you bootstrapped? Later on, did you look for funds? How did you go about it? Give us a little bit idea on how to go about it for some of the folks who want to know more about this.
So, from a fundraising perspective, I think there are, and we've seen both the tides, especially from India, there are two ways to build a company. One of the ways is where you don't raise funds. And there have been a lot of very successful people out there. But the amount of time that it takes becomes much larger. So you will see, a Freshworks today becoming $1 billion company, or Zoho is even a better example. They've done incredibly well, but it's taken them 20 years to get where a WhatsApp is 22 times of them. The founder founded it and has taken an exit and has moved on to probably his second or third or fourth startup, which is there, right?
Right.
So, and again, I don't see anything right as a, or a wrong. It depends on how you want to live life, right? Because there can always be a question that, look, even if somebody takes an exit, even in the second startup, he's doing the same thing. He's getting people on board, trying to solve a problem. I'm doing the same thing for 20 years and I'm enjoying fun. I have a longer duration, longer relationship, longer, time to think through a problem which is there. So I think both are very different, they, apples and oranges. And anybody saying that what is the right way to do it is a wrong way, right? Because I think it depends on the style. There are people who like only working for 9 to 5 and really doing things after 5 o'clock, whether it's something different from their startup or their business. At the same time, I know people who work 18 hours a day also. I think both are very, very valid. Depends on the kind of person you are. So to your point on the fundraising side, I've been bootstrapped for 6 out of 8 years of existence. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. We were cash flow positive with a 22 member team. We were doing, millions of dollars of revenue in that way. And it was incredible. We were like really nailing it, right? But then we also felt that there can be a much bigger impact we can make if we are able to produce a particular kind of product. We don't want to make another TCS, right? As a services company, if you want to be very big, you need to have a lot of people. But if you introduce automation, get some intelligence in the form of AI, ML, you can actually do a lot in a more efficient and an automated way than what humans can do, which far more efficiency, which is there. So we started a journey on the product development 3 years back. And that's where we raised our first round of funding. Till date, we've raised $14 million. We are India's highest valued cybersecurity startup yet. It doesn't talk too much about us. It just talks about how small the cybersecurity startup in India is, the ecosystem in India is. And I recently moved to Palo Alto last year, and we are now globally expanding. So our fundraising journey has been incredible. We survived for a very long time, did reasonably well as a bootstrapped company. And at the same time now, we've relatively, reasonably, very quickly as a B2B company scaled up in terms of our investments, valuation, and it's really the value to the customer which has really gone up exponentially. And the byproduct of that is really your valuation, your revenue, your
Also,
investment.
and also your services are most in demand in during these times because it's been, I mean, I don't know, I'm not a techie person, but what I read is that since everybody is online, including the kids, the cybersecurity attacks both in the businesses and everywhere else has been on the high. So I'm sure your business is booming in these current times. I have a question out here on the side, and I'll take some of my own question side. But there's some person who said, if someone wants to pick up a cybersecurity as a career now, because it's something which is looking like post-COVID times, one of those careers which will be on a high, what would you advise? How can they pick that up?
Yeah, I think to understand cybersecurity, the minimum requirement is to understand cyber, and then you do security. So it's almost like, as I told you, right? My school days, my college days, I'm a computer science engineer myself, right? And if you're trying to take a career in this where you want to spend a lot of time, you want to start from the facts that your fundamentals about computer science, about really understanding how the internet works, about understanding how, every register which is there on your CPU, how the machine language, really operates bit by bit, byte by byte, how the NAND, NOR, XOR gates operate and, interact with each other, and then coming all the way up to actually writing a program on your own, writing many programs on your own, and then really understanding the architecture of how the computer science world works. Once you understand that, you're automatically a hacker there, because then you understand. That goes back to the definition of hacking, right? That if you want to be a hacker, you want to know the thing so much in depth, where you're able to see things which the others cannot see, and naturally then you will be in demand, and you will be irreplaceable, whether you're the CEO of a company or an analyst or a developer or anything that you're doing, from and frankly, this is true for any field, right? You basically want to go super deep in and then make things happen there.
Yeah, Saket, over here I have a question with Prakshit, which is what you spoke, and it's an extension of it. Is cybersecurity more about the technology that you use, or the smartness behind figuring out the algorithm to crack a code? And I think you kind of answered it, but in case if you would want to take a fresh attempt.
I don't see these as two different points, for a simple reason. It's like asking, for a neuroscientist, is it all about understanding the brain and the nerve cells, or finding out where the problems in the nerve cells can be? Well, the better you understand how neurons work or the brain works, the better you are in identifying, where the problem is. So I really don't see them as two different aspects. Having said that, as an entrepreneur, what you can I can tell you is, it is impossible that you can solve all the problems. And that's where, it is not really about, even if you don't understand cybersecurity, you can still be a cybersecurity entrepreneur. Remember, the world's largest publicly valued company in cybersecurity is a company called Palo Alto Networks, as on day today.
Yes.
Their CEO is a guy called Nikesh Arora,
He
who has
doesn't.
no head or tail to do with cybersecurity. He's a
Yes.
sales guy, comes from Google, SoftBank, a tremendous sales guy, and still he's being able to navigate that company reasonably well from the time that he joined. So I'm saying you can still do that, but you need to know what you don't know, and then surround yourself with people, because he's surrounded with an incredible set of people who know cyber very, very well, and hence cybersecurity very, very well, and then putting that into a product market fit, and then making a business case out of it, and then going to the market, is a very different skill. If you can have one person who can do all of it, it becomes a big value add.
You know what, Saket? This adds on to the question. Like when you started out your entrepreneurial journey, you said all three of you guys were from a tech background and you knew what you knew well. In terms of building a business, there are a lot of, nuts and bolts which are required. How did you build that up? How did you make sure that you had different skills and different competencies and different advice coming into you? If you could share that a bit.
Yeah, Sarika, I started this company when I was 21 years of age, right? It was 8 years back. I'm 29 now, right? So at 21, there are some amazing things about you, right? Super high on energy. I'm fairly hands on with technology. There are so many good things also, right? But there is a very big missing piece as a young person, especially if it's your first job. You don't know how to scale a company. You don't know how to build a company. You don't know how to build teams. You don't know how to set the culture of hiring the right people, retaining the right people. You don't know how to treat them, give them their space, learn how to collaborate and work with them to really make things happen. So what I did was, and I was very, very fortunate, Sarika, to actually get some of the most incredible investors who became obviously advisors and mentors to my organization, and they continue to be so, right? I mean, my angel round, when I did that, uh, I have, like, for example, I have the CTO of PayPal, the ex-CTO of NetApp, one of the managing partners of McKinsey. uh, these are all hardcore technology people. So if I have a technology problem, I have a CTO of PayPal who I can reach out to, and who would know how to solve that problem, unlike very few people, in the world. The ex CFO of Flipkart is my angel investor. So if I have anything to do with stat audit, how does finances work? How do I do my bookkeeping? Who is the right auditor to appoint? All of those things. I go to the ex CFO of Flipkart, the ex CFO of Procter and Gamble. They are both my angel investors, right? I mean, if I have something to do with HR or investments, for example, I have a partner with SoftBank, I have a partner with Sequoia. Both are my angel investors who actually help me guide through the goods and the bads of, how am I thinking through investment, right? To top it all up, right? My last round was led by John Chambers. John is supposed to be the god of technology, where he was a CEO of Cisco for 25 years. For people who don't know Cisco, and Cisco even today is a Fortune 50 company, and he acquired 180 startups. He's been on an average spending an hour with me on an average on a weekly basis for the
Wow.
last 2 years.
Wow.
So starting from making my senior most people get the final interview done from him, till actually sitting with my team and drafting line by line the culture of the company, mission
Wow.
of the company, vision of the company, till strategizing the go to market strategy, the product strategy, and then really bringing all of that together in place. And it's not just him, his whole entire ecosystem. He got the chief security officer of Cisco. He's on my board of directors, right? So, and he was the chief security officer of Cisco for 20 years. So, if you see a 29-year-old who's surrounded with this battery of the best on the planet, the degree of advice that you can get, or the odds of you doing stupid things, goes down. I still say go down, doesn't go to zero, because me being 29-year-old, I
No,
still
but
get to do
mistakes
things.
happen. Mistakes are the next steps for the success on that front. But this is so amazing because they have a skin in the game. I mean, all your fantastic investors, they have a skin in the game. They are your advisors, they are mentors, they are go-to people, and they are your team, they are your allies. I think that's such a smart way to do it. And some of the folks also can do it either as investors or as advisory board. These are some of the hacks of an entrepreneur, as we call it. So I just want to ask you over here, Saket, as an entrepreneur, I'm sure, and as you keep saying that you're young, and as a woman, I have faced some challenges and some bias. But I know for a fact, generation and age is also a challenge. And it's a very difficult business to be in. It's a B2B business. You're asking people to trust them, you trust you with all their information. What are the kind of challenges or biases you faced because of your age, and how did you overcome that?
Yeah, Sarika. So, from an age perspective, right, there are two types of companies: product companies and services companies, right? Now, in product companies, and I'm not going to services right now, let's keep it there. In product, also, there are two types: one is consumer products, and some are B2B products. Consumer products are like WhatsApp, Facebook, Snapchat. Out there, you don't care what is the age of the guy or the girl who's building that product. As long as WhatsApp solves your purpose of being able to connect to your friends, you will use it. It's as simple as that, right? That's on the B2C product side. B2B product side, there are two ways of building a B2B product company. Either you can have 1,000 customers paying you $100,000 a year, or you can have 100,000 customers paying you $1,000 a year. The second one, where you have 100,000 customers paying you $1,000 a year, goes to 100 million of ARR, is what a Freshworks or a Zoho is all about. Where you go on their website, give your credit card, where they charge you,
An
$500
example.
or $1,000, and there's no sales team in general involved. for the smaller deals, and which is the bulk of the deals. And all the transaction happens through website.
A typical
Out there
B2C.
also, yeah, it's still B2B, but it's like a small ticket size in
Subscription
B2B,
based. Yeah,
right?
subscription
Yeah,
based.
it's a small subscription based thing. Out there also, frankly, you don't care what is the age of Zoho founder or a Freshworks founder which is there. But on the other side, my product on an average is a couple of crore rupees a year that an enterprise needs to pay. Now, when that becomes that quantum, you want to, like, literally from every angle, you want to, see whether the product is good, whether the team which supports it is good, where is it being produced, will I be able to get a long-term gain from it, will these people stick around, will they even exist as a startup after a year or not? All of these questions are there in the heads of any large enterprise that we go and serve. Today, Sarika, we serve more than 60% of the Indian private Fortune 500 companies. Globally, there are multiple Fortune 50 companies that we serve, right? All the big banks, airports, aviation companies, some very big government, initiatives also. We do security for all of these. So the point I'm making there is, there we had a lot of age bias. I used to be, not now, it's not required, but 5 years back, 6 years back, when we were getting our first customers, I used to wear fake glasses. I used to never go in a t-shirt, right? I was always in my shirt. I was always in my blazer, white shirt, a contrasting blazer, and have, basically, because you had to, there are two phases, right? One is where you need to dress up right to be taken seriously, and second,
After that,
no matter what you dress up, you will still be taken seriously,
yeah, the
right?
credibility has been set. Now, of
Yeah.
course, your
So at least,
credibility has been set. Yeah.
yeah, at least in the Indian market, definitely yes. Now I am in the Palo Alto and the American market, where we are again starting the journey of really building it from the scratch.
I don't think so.
And
Age is a challenge out there because I only see some 29s and 30 years olds in Palo Alto markets out there mostly. We are the ones who are out, not seen so often enough, our age group.
yeah,
But I
I
want to
think
take
the
some,
advantage there is that in
yeah,
Silicon Valley, you are absolutely right. Age is not the key thing.
yeah. So Palo Alto, yeah, crazy. You know what? I would like to take some questions from our audience first, and then we'll come back to this question on bias because I do believe you have some views on that as well. We have one question on what is the and right now everybody is worried about their own data privacy and security because everybody is online. What are your views? How we can keep ourselves secure while we are on social media, or any particular one or two tips for us as layperson, what we could do to keep ourselves safe? I know you can hack a phone in 20 seconds. So I'm now being very careful. I don't know what to do. So tell us how we can protect ourselves.
Sarika, I wish I could give one golden bullet that, if this is the bullet on the technology side, if you do this, nobody in the world can hack you. Unfortunately, even if I told you that, look, disconnect from the internet and nobody can hack you, even that's not true. There are ways to work around that also. So then, Saket, what is the way? How do you keep yourself secure, right? I
Right.
would say it's not a technical solution, it's more of a mindset thing. What that means is, Sarika, that if you're using the internet, whether it's your email, social media, chatting app, anything, if you write everything there or you send a picture out there, assuming that it is hacked, it just makes all the difference. Because today what happens is, when you're sending a WhatsApp message, you're assuming that it's a private chat and nobody would ever come to know about it. Remember, the richest person on the planet is a guy called Jeff Bezos, and his
Yeah.
private pictures from
Amazing.
his cell phones were stolen
Hack.
without
Yeah.
his consent, and it was out. Now imagine this, you're talking about the world's richest man, and if he's not able to go ahead and defend against a hack on his phone, where do mere mortals like you and I belong? So I would say that if you store a picture on the phone, assuming it can be hacked, if you write a message, email, assuming it will come out in the public in the future, there's a high chance where things will not, it will not even go in the direction where tomorrow it might backfire on you.
Yeah, I have a question over here. Someone spoke about the what are the best practices for developers to protect user data? Where do we start?
Okay, so for developers, for user data, I would not go with a single pinpoint, do this and everything is okay. If I were to still bucket that, I would say for now, close your eyes and use the GDPR regulation. So the GDPR regulation is really good when it comes to user data protection. And it's one of the most stringent protection acts around the world. Even if you have an app which is not in Europe, there's nothing wrong in actually following that and following the practices that GDPR really, goes ahead and uses. And I think that becomes your one-stop shop or your north star of
as a
how you want
benchmark.
to see for your customer data privacy.
And it makes sense because eventually it will be one of those acts which will be adapted by almost all countries if you want to really do some global work out there. So that's one good way tip. Coming back onto, I mean, of course, these hacks, and I do realize that there's no one hack. So be careful online, everyone. Don't post anything which you would not want others to see. Don't share anything which you would not want others to share. So be careful out there. But coming back to again life mantras and entrepreneurship journey, what is that one big failure or some of the failures which you felt gave some lessons or you felt that I could have avoided it?
Uh, so there are a gazillion failures that have happened in my life, right? I mean, there's so many of them which are there. I think, you know, I think the only failure that I would say would be a failure that I would feel a failure is basically assuming in a scenario that failure cannot happen. And I'll explain what this means, right? That, so I'm one of those guys who, who feels that, you don't need to be super optimistic or super pessimistic. If you're very realistic about any planning that you're doing, of both the ups and the downs which can come, I think then you're set for success. And when I say success, it doesn't mean that that thing will go to success, but even if it goes to failure, it won't affect you. So I feel, I mean, at any point where I have not been able to see the corner case where something that I'm trying to do can fail objectively is my only failure. And
You've
as I
not.
keep moving forward, sorry?
So you're trying to say that you have not been able to visualize or think that this could be the end result or this could not be the possible end result, and therefore the plan B or a plan C.
Yeah.
Is that what
Yeah.
you're talking about, Saket?
Well, plan B and plan C are absolutely a part of it. For example, I was coming on this webinar. Now, one way is this goes very well, everybody's watching it. Hopefully, somebody goes back, worth they feeling that this was worth their investment of time. There's a worst case scenario out here also where there is an internet outage in my area or your area, and we are not able to do that. Now, if I already had this in my mind before the start of this webinar, even if the webinar would not happen, I would be okay with that. So,
Yeah.
so I think my failure is only not being able to see failure at times where it can go down that route. And that's a bigger thing than worrying about the point, because failures will always happen. When you do 100 things, 50, because everything that you do is not in your hands, right? There's so much which is out there which you cannot control. But knowing what you can control and what the others can control, at least not having a blueprint of that map ready in your mind, for me, that becomes a failure. And that only is the one which leads you to feeling bad. Because if you've thought through good and bad, then there's no reason why you feel bad about anything.
Wow, wow. And what do you define success as?
I think the only definition becomes that where you understand how stupid is success. And, it just, success in most cases is a very relative concept. And people define success with the benchmarks of their college friends or their peer groups or their spouses or their colleagues, etc., etc. So I think the only success definition for me is understanding how stupid that benchmark is. And really, if you're having fun in what you do, why do you care about success? So if you're having fun in building the company, why do you care about the success? There's a chance it might become very big, but there's a chance it might also crash and burn, and both are very real chance when you're building any startup, right? So thinking that for me success will be if this becomes a Fortune 500 company would be a very stupid thing. Success for me is I like every second of building this company is like ecstasy. It's like I'm having a blast of a time for the last 8 years, right? And that's
Having
success for me.
fun.
So
Having fun while you're working, and working while you're having fun, so it's work both ways. I remember, Saket, when we were having this conversation about bias, and I'm coming back to that question again. You spoke about a bias against age, where you tried to camouflage your age when it was required. We've all done that, that power dressing when we need to go and talk through and think. um, I do realize that you also spoke about women. You know that there are certain biases, and specifically for women in tech, we don't get to see too many women in technology or STEM careers. And in fact, in India, in fact, if you would be surprised to know, compared to the other countries, India in fact is in a better situation. There are far more number of women in tech and STEM industry, but still, many of them drop out of their careers, or many at a young age do not opt for it. What is your view on this? Why do you think it's happening, and how can we stem it? What are the biases or challenges which one could face, and how could you overcome that?
yeah, Sarika, first of all, with a country of 1.3 billion people, you should never keep number as a benchmark of what is good or bad. You should
I'm
do
looking
per
at stats.
capita
I'm in
or per.
economics. I'm in economics. I always look at
No,
stats.
no, no, no. I'm also saying stats, but I'm saying absolute number. Yes, it'll be larger, but when you
Yes,
compare it to the sample set of per capita, it might be lower. But anyways,
of
you're
course,
you're the
of course,
expert there, so you
of
would know
course.
that.
Yeah.
So okay. So bias with women. Yeah, I'll tell you. I actually spent a couple of weekends, studying a lot of white papers on that. And again, Sarika, you're the expert here. I should be asking you. But since you asked me the question, I
I'm
mean,
talking
we'll
about
have
your
to.
opinion. I'm talking about your opinion and your views on
Yeah,
this.
I'll give you my views and my opinion, and again, of course, it can be completely wrong also, so not to offend anybody. But this really started from this very interesting interview of Jack Ma, which he was giving in World Economic Forum, where somebody asked him that, look, how can you build such a huge company? Tell me that one line secret of building Alibaba. And he said, oh, it's very simple, just hire more women. Now, this is a very odd answer. I mean, it sounds good. We all, everybody who wants gender equality, blah, 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 it's all good. But if you see, it is fundamentally flawed. And I'll tell you why it is flawed. For a second, imagine he said, hire more men.
Of
It
course.
would go in a very different direction. Let's not get there. If I were at his place, I would think a smarter answer would be hire more intelligent, smart, hardworking people. I mean, that would be a more right answer, no? Why should it be hire more women? I thought, why does it make sense? And by the way, he's a very smart guy. He's built a company worth $500 billion. Definitely a very, very smart guy. Let me double click and try to figure out what it is. So, when I double clicked into it, right, one of the things which and we say this in our organization, we are a team of close to 200 people. Uh, we say this with a lot of pride. We are not a gender equal company. And what that means in a very, very simple way is we absolutely give preferential treatment to women because of the construct of the society, not just in India, around the world. For a woman to come to exactly at the same spot in their career as a man, in general, of course, there are exceptions, but in general, it takes far more effort than what it requires for a man. So saying that we are a gender equal thing, it is not the smartest thing. And I say this publicly to, and my whole team knows this. So we are not a gender equal company at all. Now, why do I say that? And when I double clicked, right, this whole thing around saying, no, man and women are equal, I actually figured out that they're actually not very equal. And this was a very interesting white paper I was reading in the Nature's magazine, that Nature's journal, that thing that comes out. It really divided that, look, there are certain things which you are born with. What that means is that study
Very inherent.
divided the whole brain into two parts, left brain and right brain. And there's a very interesting study which said that, look, the way you're born, men are more left brain heavy because the left brain is more logical. which is more mathematical. All the maths happen in the left brain, right? Women on the other side are, through the way you're born, of course it can be changed, but the way they are born in general, on an average, they are very right brain heavy. So that's a difference in terms. So it's not just a physical difference between a guy and a girl. There is a change in terms of how you're born, in terms of your cerebral wiring which is happening. Now, the interesting thing which I thought from there, the difference between left and right brain is, you can, with your hard work,
Can work on
grow
the
the
left.
left brain, but you can't work on the right brain. So
It's
very
a great.
interestingly, because think about it, right? You don't have a school where you can teach love. You don't have a school which teaches design. You know this, right? Every design school in the world, they don't teach design. They just convert an existing designer into a
Skill.
more streamlined and give them more tools with that. It doesn't make you a designer. So the left brain can be worked on and can be made sharper, because it's simple, if, else, all of those things. The right brain on the other side is not something that can be worked on. And when that is the case, men are actually handicapped. So you can't convert a guy who can't love from their childhood to the time that they grow up. But you can definitely make a girl, make them work on mathematics, coding, programming, logical reasoning, and they will do very well. So who would you want in your organization?
That's
Somebody
a
who's good at both left and right brain, or just somebody who's good at left brain, right? And of course, there are exceptions, right? Remember, I'm just talking very generically. So
No, but this
looking at
is
all of those,
very logical. This is a very logical. I mean, I don't expect anything less than you from you on this, but it's a very logical explanation. I'm glad you pulled it out, because this is something which we are trying to hammer to so many people and make them understand. If not superior, but we are definitely equal, or rather equity. I would say it's an equal
no,
opportunity.
no, I don't like that, Sarika. I'm telling you, it's women are superior without a doubt. And again, I can tell you this. You can see this historically. Anything generically which is very heavy on left brain, driving skills, algebra, generally women have not been good because they're not born like that. But those are very easily polishable skills which are there. So I would rather get somebody who's very good in left and right brain rather than somebody who's only good at left brain. So therefore, they are
So
better,
well
and
said.
that's why I don't vouch for equality. Sorry.
So well said. In fact, I'm so proud to share with you that we are sitting in one of the largest women hackathon being organized by Women in Tech. In fact, this whole Leadership Connect series is a part of that. We had more than 1,500 women and girl students who are participating in this hackathon. And some of the challenges and some of the grand challenges they are trying to solve for is actually related to the COVID crisis. So I'm very glad that you pulled this out, because we are hoping that with compassion, with the care, and also with the creativity part of it from the right side of the brain, and of course the left side of the brain, which they have been trained, they have picked up those skills, and of course we women are very focused on certain things. So when they bring it together, we see some good solutions coming out of it, and the world knows we really need some good solutions out here now. No, but thank you so much for sharing that, Saket. I'm just wanting to be cognizant of the time, because we are very close to 4:50. We have the last 5 minutes before we wrap up. I just want to do a good quick rounds in terms of your understanding. Your favorite cuisine, or like a speed dating kind of a round, which we are asking. Let the audience know you better.
I'm a vegetarian, so I love the Indian cuisine.
Okay, Marwari vegetarian, which is these days
I love
pretty
it.
much not acceptable, but yet okay, good. What about your favorite place to go to?
It doesn't matter. Probably, it really doesn't matter. And
As long as you have a laptop in your hand, I guess.
even that doesn't matter. But everything's equally fun. When everything's equally fun, you can't really put weights to it, Sarika.
Fantastic, fantastic. Your go-to mantra in terms of life.
Live. That's all.
Fantastic. What is your view post COVID? What is that one thing you would like to do post this whole COVID crisis gets over?
Well, Sarika, as a startup, we've actually been this quarter is actually turning out to be the one of the